was a complete disregard for Lacey's health and well-being. What made the situation even more disturbing was the fact that Lacey was not a child or even a young adult who might not have been able to express her needs. While she was nonverbal due to her autism, she was still a human being with basic needs, and it was the responsibility of her parents to care for her. The negligence exhibited by Sheila and Clay Fletcher wasn't merely the result of being overwhelmed, it was the consequence of a complete and utter failure to care for their daughter as she suffered physically and emotionally. The long history of isolation and neglect as the investigation unfolded, it became apparent that Lacey's isolation was not a recent development. Evidence began to suggest that her time on the couch was not merely the result of a few months of neglect, but that it had been building over a long period. Family members, friends, and acquaintances started coming forward with accounts of how Lacey had become increasingly isolated over the years. Some even recounted stories of Lacey's once active life, how she had been involved in therapy, attended school, and had been a part of the community before her family withdrew from society. One key aspect of the investigation was the realization that Lacey had not been seen outside the house for years. While her parents initially claimed that Lacey had withdrawn and refused to leave the couch, others began to question why Lacey had not received the help she needed. Mental health professionals and social services workers also pointed out that Lacey had likely been in need of significant support, both medically and socially. But the Fletchers chose not to seek external help, opting instead for a life of seclusion, which worsened Lacey's condition. What seemed to have started as an unfortunate and isolated case of neglect had now revealed itself to be a much deeper problem. Lacey's entire life had been one of increasing isolation, compounded by a lack of support from anyone outside her home. Her parents were the sole caregivers, but they had failed to see the gravity of her situation. Their refusal to engage with professionals, their unwillingness to acknowledge the need for outside intervention, and their belief that they could handle everything alone created a perfect storm of neglect. The road to justice, charges and legal proceedings as the details of Lacey's death became public. The Fletcher family's story began to fall apart. Lacey's parents were arrested and charged with second-degree murder, and the case quickly gained national attention. Many were shocked and horrified by the extent of the neglect, and the legal process that would follow was one of the most closely watched in the country.